A very good evening and welcome to World Now at 4. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. First, let's talk the headlines. Buhari visits Kano, commiserates with families on victims of explosion. UN condemns M23 attacks on its forces in DR Congo. On the international scene, Russian soldier jailed for life over Ukraine war. And on sports news, Sports Ministry hosts victorious Flying Eagles in Abuja. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the families of the victims of the Kano explosion that claimed 9 lives last week. The president, who is in Kano for the annual Air Force Day celebration, paid a courtesy call at the Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, at his palace. The president said he was in Kano to commiserate with the Emir over the unfortunate incident that claimed lives of some days earlier. He also praised the Kano State government for being proactive. In his address, the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje gave a breakdown of the assistance given to the victims of the explosion in the presence of the affected families who were at the palace. On his side, the Emir of Kano thanked the president for finding time to visit and prayed for peace in the country. In an effort to protect Nigerians who provide information to security agencies during investigation and prosecution of offenses, the federal government has made a provision that allows Nigerians to be kept in foreign countries under witness protection. Similarly, there is a provision that allows foreigners to be kept in Nigeria under witness protection. This is according to the Witness Protection Act 2022, which President Buhari had recently assented to and passed into law. Under Section 17 of the Act, titled Agreements with International Bodies, Institutions, Organizations, or Foreign Countries, it stated that the relevant security agencies would require the approval of the Attorney General before making any arrangement with a foreign country or organization. The provisions of this Act are applicable to investigation and prosecution of offenses related to terrorism, money laundering, prevention and prohibition, and economic and financial crimes. Other areas of offense include corrupt practices and other related offenses, drugs and narcotics and their trafficking, trafficking in persons, criminal and penal code offenses, and custom and excise management. Meanwhile, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Imo State Command, has expressed concern over the high prevalence of drug abuse and other related crimes in the state. The state commander, Ruben Ape, made the disclosure as the conferment of an ambassadorial award to an anti-drug crusader, Mike Ikoku, in recognition of his efforts in assisting the agency to fight drug intake. Ape, who blamed the situation mainly on lack of employment and human capacity development opportunities, both in the state and across the country, urged stakeholders in the state to partner in efforts aimed at tackling menace. He warned that if actions were not taken urgently to curb the vice, the society would struggle to maintain sanity and stability, especially among the young people and future generations. The NDLEA said that the consumption of hard drugs in the state had doubled in the past 6 months in the state. Responding, Ikeoku appreciated the NDLEA for the recognition and assured of his continued support and commitment for a better Nigeria and human society at large. And out of Nasarawa State, where the state governor of Nasarawa, Abdullahi Sule, has charged traditional rulers across the 13 local government areas of the state to ensure that they sustain the peace being enjoyed in their respective communities and report anyone found causing trouble to security agencies. Speaking at Agiaragu Obi local government area earlier today during the 25 years on the throne celebration of the Zé Migili, His Royal Majesty Ayuba Agwadu, Sule said the campaign on peace and security became important because no society could be developed in an atmosphere of rancor. Governor Abdullahi, who was represented by his deputy, Emmanuel Akabe, noted that the contributions of the royal father in peace building had complemented the efforts of the state government in maintaining peace in the area. He warned against any form of violence during the primary elections of political parties and the 2023 general elections, saying that troublemakers would be arrested and made to face the full wrath of the law. The celebrant, Zé Migili of the Koro tribe of the state, Ayuba Agwadu, expressed gratitude to God for making it possible for him to attain the milestone of 25 years on the throne. He also commended his subjects for their support and cooperation in steering the throne in the past 25 years. You're watching World Now at 4 on Hills TV. When the news returns, news from other parts of Africa, do stay with us. You're welcome back. This is World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Now to stories from other parts of Africa. The United Nations force in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has condemned attacks against it by M23 rebels and urged them to immediately cease hostilities. The UN acknowledged the courage and determination of its forces who responded to the attacks. The M23 rebels accused the UN forces of plotting with government forces and local militia groups to stage simultaneous attacks against them. Heavy fighting on Sunday and today's morning in the Rutshuru territory of North Kivu pushed thousands of civilians to flee their homes, with others fleeing to Uganda. The M23 spokesman, Major William Ngoma, said the UN forces were seriously shelling out their position with helicopters. And the UN forces have the green light to use forces to fight the rebel groups, but locals say they have done little in more than 20 years of their deployment there. Just last month, as talks were starting in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, M23 representatives were ejected from the negotiation after the group was accused of hostilities. And now to Senegal, where Senegal's president and current chair of the African Union, that is the AU, Macky Sall, said he will travel to Russia and Ukraine soon on behalf of the AU. Speaking at a news conference after meeting, Sall also said that Senegal was ready to work on supplying liquid natural gas to Europe, but that first there needs to be agreement on participation. The gas project was that of the Senegal, and the Germany has invited Senegal for the G7 summit. When the news returns, we move to news from other parts of the world. Stay blessed. Welcome back. A court in Ukraine has jailed a Russian tank commander for life for killing a civilian at the first war crimes trials since the invasion. The captured soldier, Sergeant Vadim Shishimarin, was convicted of killing Alexander Shelipov, 62 years, in northeastern village of Shapokivka on February 28. he admitted shooting Shalipov, but said he had been acting on orders and asked for forgiveness of the man's widow. Many other alleged war crimes are being investigated by Ukraine, and in a conflict where the deliberate targeting of civilians has become one of the defining features, Monday's outcome sets a significant legal precedent, as Moscow has always denied its troops have targeted civilians, despite a wealth of evidence to the contrary, while Ukraine says more than 11,000 crimes may have occurred. Ukraine, however, is likely to bring more cases like this to unpick Moscow's blanket denials. The sentencing is unlikely to lead to an immediate change in tactics from the invading forces, but it does bring Alexander Shalipov's widow, Katerina Shalipova, justice. The United States of America's President Joe Biden has warned China is flirting with danger over Taiwan and vowed to intervene militarily to protect the island if it is attacked. Speaking in Japan, he ordered to contradict long-standing U.S. policy in the region, although the White House insisted there had been no departure. Biden drew a parallel between Taiwan and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, prompting an anger from Beijing. He is on his first tour of Asia as U.S. president, visiting regional allies. When asked on what he had to say about Taiwan,
yes,
here was his reply.
We are not, look, here's the situation. We agree with the one China policy. We signed on to it and all the attendant agreements made from there. But the idea that it can be taken by force, just taken by force, is just not appropriate. It will dislocate the entire region and be another action similar to what happened in Ukraine.
The United States has previously been vague on what it would do in such situation. Meanwhile, China regards Taiwan as a breakaway province that must be reunified with the mainland. The U.S. has no official diplomatic ties with Taiwan, but sells arms to it as part of its Taiwan Relations Act, which states that the United States must provide the island with the means to defend itself. At the same time, it maintains formal ties with China and also diplomatically acknowledges China's position on that there is only one Chinese government. And now to Iran, where its president, Ebrahim Raisi, has promised to take revenge after a colonel in the powerful Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, IRGC, was shot dead on Sunday. Two gunmen on a motorbike opened fire at Sayyad Kodai as he sat in a car outside his home, according to state media's reports. Colonel Kodai was a member of the elite Quds force, the IRGC's shadowing overseas operational arm, they said. Ebrahim Raisi blamed the hands of global arrogance, a reference to it and its ally. Meanwhile, IRGC spokesman Ramazan Sharif said the martyrdom of Colonel Kodai would strengthen its determination to defend security, independence, and national interest, and to confront the enemies of the Iranian nation. According to the statement, no group or country has claimed it was behind the killing, which was the most high-profile in Iran since the top nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was shot dead in an attack on his convoy outside Tehran in November 2020. Iran blamed that assassination on Israel, and Israel neither confirmed nor denied involvement, although the former head of its Mossad intelligence agency said last year that Fakhrizadeh had been a target for many years. Iran's state news agency also reported that Colonel Kodai was shot with 5 bullets as he was getting out of his car. You're watching World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Up next is Business News. Welcome back. National Bureau of Statistics, that is NBS of Nigeria, said that Nigeria's economy grew by 3.11% yearly in the first quarter of the year 2022, from 0.51% recorded in the corresponding period in 2021. The NBS stated this in the Nigeria's Gross Domestic Product Report, Q1 2022, which was released this morning. According to the statement, the GDP grew by 3.11% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2022, showing a sustained positive growth for 6 consecutive quarters since the recession witnessed in 2020, where negative growth rates were recorded in quarter 2 and 3 of 2020. The first quarter 2022 growth rate further represents an improvement in economic performance. As it was observed, the trend since quarter 4 2020 is an indication of a gradual economic stability. In the quarter under review, aggregate GDP stood at 45,317,823 naira 33 kobo in nominal terms. This performance is higher when compared to its first quarter of 2021, which recorded aggregate GDP of 40,014,482 naira 74 kobo, indicating a year-on-year nominal growth rate of 13.25%. The nominal GDP growth rate in quarter 1 2022 was higher relative to 12.25% growth recorded in the first quarter of 2021 and higher compared to 13.11% growth recorded in preceding quarter. Still on business news, Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni says its government will not intervene in the current economic situation amid a rising cost of living. Prices of petroleum products, imported raw materials and food have been rising in recent months as a crisis has been experienced globally following the war in Ukraine. In an address on Sunday to the Ugandans, Museveni said that government subsidies or removal of import taxes would collapse the economy. Therefore, there would be a hemorrhage of dollars from the national reserves for the purchase of those expensive products. Museveni said Uganda will need to frugally use the imported items it can afford and advise citizens to substitute expensive wheat with locally available food such as millet, maize, and lava. Most of Uganda is highly productive and many families depend on subsistence agriculture. Ugandans are having to buy smaller quantities of basic items or park their cars to cope with the crisis. The Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine has requested the international community to help create a safe passage to enable the millions of tons of grain stock in Ukraine to leave the country. Yulia Syridenko, First Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, stated sort of corridor was needed, as it has also raised the prospect of famine in the countries which depend on its exports. Syridenko, who is also Ukraine's Minister of the Economy, urged the international community to help lift the blockade of the country's seaports. She said this could be a solution, allowing Ukraine to export the grain currently stuck in its silos and unable to be shipped. You're still watching World Now at 4 on Hills TV.
Good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I'm Richard Badung. Nigeria's Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, today hosted members of the victorious Flying Eagles squad who won the just concluded WAFU B Under-20 tournament in Abuja, the nation's capital. The minister, while speaking during the event, said the players were the future of football in the country and that all efforts will be put in place to ensure the team sticks together. Furthermore, the minister reiterated the commitment of the Sports Ministry in conjunction with the Football Federation to continue its support and encouragement to youth football and development.
The future of our football is in the hands of these young ones. You look at their faces, you look at their ages, you look at their talent and skills. Nigeria must not throw them away. FIFA commits extensively to the development of youth football. Any country that departs from the development of youth football does so at its peril. The lesson is very clear. The message is out there that this country will continue to focus working with the federation that has the mandate to develop our football, to make sure that youth development when it comes to football, male or female, gets the deserved attention, the deserved support.
In the same vein, the coach of the team, Ladan Boso, also thanked the Sports Ministry for the opportunity given to him and his technical task and assured Nigerians that the team will go all out in the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON, in Egypt and emerge victorious.
Going to the Nations Cup, I think we just have to perform very well and succeed. We got the back of the federation for us to be in Miami 10 days before the kickoff, and that has helped us tremendously. So going for the preparation to be there before time, and have some quality friendly matches. Then to now reinforce the team with some quality players, I think we are good to go.
The Flying Eagles of Nigeria defeated Benin Republic 3-1 in Friday's final of the WAFU B Under-20 tournament in Niamey, Niger Republic. Egypt 2023 is the 17th edition of the Under-20 AFCON, and the top 4 teams will qualify for the 2023 FIFA World Cup slated for Indonesia. Super Eagles goalkeeper Maduka Okoye has withdrawn from the Super Eagles' upcoming matches slated for end of May and early June in the United States of America. The Watford Football Club of England's safe hand have asked to be excluded from the 30-man Super Eagles list to face Mexico and Ecuador in the United States of America late this month and early next month. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. I'm Richard Badung. Back to Peace for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Richard, for the sports stories. And that's World Now at 4 on Hills TV. But before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that Nigeria's president visited Kano and commiserated with families of victims of the explosion. Also in the news, the United Nations has condemned M23 attacks on its forces in DR Congo. On the international scene, a Russian soldier has been jailed for life over war crimes. And on sports, the Sports Ministry has hosted Victoria's Flying Eagles in Abuja. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV, Instagram at Hills TV, and do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hills TV. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. Thank you for watching.